Hello, good afternoon and welcome to sunny Spa-Francorchamps in the Belgian Ardennes. We are deep in motor racing history here. This track, legendary, one of the most fearsome and, in times, feared tracks in the world, with one of the world's most famous corners down there below us, basking in this summer sunshine, Eau Rouge and Radiant. And look at the number of people already packed into that grandstand. Don't forget, racing on Saturday this weekend, so this is Friday, a working day, and the track is absolutely heaving with humanity. Martin Haven, Graham Goodwin and Anthony Davidson in the booth, Bruce Ioane down in the pit lane as we get ready for qualifying. And Anthony, this format where we send the two classes out, LMGT3 you're looking at now, and the hypercars go out separately. First of all, the full field, and then the fast 10 drivers go through to Hyperpole. Proper, everything on the line, no excuses. Yeah, so a new system in place for this year in the World Endurance Championship. This is round 3 here at Spa, like you say, Martin, and I'm liking this new format of qualifying where you have effectively a shootout where you get through to the top 10 in both categories, but they're run individually. So the GTs or LMGT3, they'll be out there first. So traditional qualifying, everyone out on track in the LMGT3, and then the top 10 go through to Hyperpole, and they fight it out between themselves in a slightly shorter session for the Hyperpole, fewer cars on track, but it's got good, the anticipation builds in this type of knockout system qualifying, and it's been taken from, a bit in a way, the blueprint from the way qualifying works at Le Mans, so it's in keeping with that famous race at the 24 hours. Well, we're already into race 3, round 3 of the 2024 FIA World Endurance Championship here at Spa-Francorchamps. Then, of course, it is going to be the double-point scoring epicness that is the 24 Hours of Le Mans in June. And Sao Paulo back to Brazil, round 5. Le Mans goes back to Lone Star Le Mans at Qatar in September. And we follow that up with, looking at the temperatures soaring, Anthony. That is cloud cover coming off Spa-Francorchamps. Yes, we are at Spa-Francorchamps, and yes, the track temperature is almost 32 degrees, and the air temp 21. Yeah, absolutely lovely out there. The fans have turned up trackside, and they are here in their thousands, are having an absolutely brilliant time. So yeah, speaking of this legendary circuit, we can take a bit of a closer look at some of the key corners to get right in qualifying. 7 kilometers clockwise circuit, around 100 meters of elevation change, 4.3 miles long. We'll focus at La Source, turn 1 first of all. Easy to outbrake yourself into that one when you open your new lap. You've got to get a good exit because that carries you all the way through the famous Eau Rouge and Radiant section. Brand new grandstand there, well, not for this year, but relatively new still for the fans. They've got a great view of the cars as they thunder up that hill. You get through the rest of the lap, and then it plummets downhill through Pouhon. You end up here at the chicane, turn 18 and 19. Again, a real tricky one on the brakes, and watch out for track limits as well, particularly on the exit of turn 19. We have seen lots of cars get pinged for track limits all the way through FP1, 2 and 3. It's going to be no different when it comes to qualifying, I'm sure. Well, FP3 was probably the worst when they were pushing hardest, trying to work out what the tyres were doing today. 38 cars, 37 cars, and 27 of them, 38 cars, 27 of them got penalties. So only 11 cars did not lose a lap. And only 2 teams had their 2 cars without losing a lap. One was Toyota Gazoo Racing in Hypercar, and the other one was Iron Lynx Iron Dames in GT. Apart from that, almost everybody's team lost at least 1 lap. Now, one of the factors, Graham, in LMGT3 qualifying is we don't have to guess. We know who's going to qualify each of the cars, because each of the cars must have an FIA bronze-rated driver in the lineup, and it is the bronze-rated driver who qualifies the car. Completely correct. Took the words literally right out of my mouth. And it is going to be 18 of these LMGT3 cars, 9 different makes of car, 2 cars per make, and it is going to be aboard this number 92 car. Alex Malikin will be the hot shoe here, and he has been very much the form bronze driver and this season so far.
Yeah, for those of you familiar with the World Endurance Championship, you remember names such as Ben Keating, for example. He was around for a couple of years, always topping the timesheet, or most of the time. And it was no different last year in his yellow Corvette, always fighting near the front. He's not here this year, but Alex Malikin has kind of taken that mantle and ran with it.
Yeah, he has, and we got used to, didn't we, in a Corvette that looked similar to this, but a completely different car, of course, last year. It would be Ben Keating versus Sarabovi, but here last year, if I remember correctly, it was Ahmed El-Harty. Now, he is back, as is Sarabovi, but in the FP3 session, has outcome the two Lamborghinis. As Martin was saying a little earlier, ran cleanly and reasonably quickly as well, both the Lamborghinis, so they can put in the fast laps and put them in without getting into bother on track limits. Ahmed El-Harty, though, was a little way further back. We don't know whether or not they did a full quali sim aboard the BMWs, but they were a little bit off. Yoshi Kazumi in one of these. Tom Van Rompuy, of course, who has had a pole position already this season in the opening race in Qatar.
But Kazumi had a pretty rough FP3, didn't he? He was off the track. He wasn't slow, but he was kind of up there in terms of the other bronze drivers, but he had a rough time in terms of staying on track and ended up facing the wrong way at one point and caused a pretty lengthy full course yellow period. I
mean, across those LMGT3 cars, those 9 different makes, vast array of different approaches to the same problem. This is one of the Aston Martins, and it will be Clement Mathieu who will go out aboard the 777 car. Front engine, mid-engine, rear-engined. What have we got here? We have 6, 8 and 10 cylinder cars. We have normally aspirated, is that trouble there for the 77 car? Waiting to put the front left on the Mustang. Front, rear, mid-engined, turbo and non-turbo cars, all within the same performance window. And that's what makes this so engaging. They look different and they sound different, but they go in remarkably similar lap times. But the other thing about this, is they deliver that similar lap time in very different ways.
Yeah, they do. Obviously, every car will have its strength and weakness. But the thing I like about the qualifying format in LMGT3 is we look at the tyre information. With Goodyear's, you only have one option for this circuit. It's the medium tyre, so the furthest one on the left, the yellow labelled tyres, and that's again a new addition for this year. We can now finally see the compounds they're on. So for here, you can see there on the cars there, the Lexus on the yellow Goodyear labelled tyres. So everyone on the medium tyre here in Spa. But the thing I really like about the way they enforce that the bronze driver, so the lowest graded driver, with all due respect, qualifies the car, because then you're looking at more the driver making the difference, I feel, compared to the cars, the intricacies between the cars. That kind of comes into play when you've got the pros behind the wheel more often than not. And yeah, of course, different cars will have their strengths and weaknesses.
So qualifying about to get underway. You're absolutely right, and that's a contribution from the bronze-ranked drivers. Really lifted this
under 1 minute
as a spectacle, in particular.
LMGT3 qualifying session. Please remind drivers of the need to respect track limits.
In particular, with them getting the opportunity to run these cars on new tyres and on low tanks, massively lifted the appeal for them going head-to-head with their peers, men and women. And we're going to see a very quick female driver in this session in the shape of Sarabovi in her home race, remember.
30 seconds, under 30 seconds to open pit lane.
So if you're looking at this and thinking, oh, it's the bronze drivers, well, it is the bronze drivers, but they're all bronze drivers and they are competing head-to-head.
And actually, it's fair enough that they get to drive the car when it's at its best. Low fuel, brand new tyres, no one else out on track apart from them, because
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. LMGT3 session has started.
Thanks very much, Eduardo Freitas, our race director here, as always, in the World Endurance Championship. And just to finish what I was saying before Eduardo rudely interrupted me, was that
Say that to his face.
Maybe not. Maybe I can now that I'm
You
not.
can now.
No, maybe I'm not driving, but
Just seeing on my screen, 5 minutes stop and go. Driver Anthony Davidson,
Wherever he drives
roughing of
next.
the race director.
you know, a lot of preparation goes into to driving these and preparing the cars, and I think the bronze drivers usually, not all of them, but usually they're paying for the privilege.
Absolutely.
To be here. So, you know, it's fair enough that they enjoy the car when they're at their best.
Good. Take a pause while you watch the fabulous group of LMGT3s coming round to remind anybody listening and watching in, you can catch up with the background stories to the FIA World Endurance Championship 10 days after every race, and the same here from Spa-Francorchamps with the fabulous WC Full Access series on the series YouTube channel, part of a range of material you can watch and listen to all through the year. Doesn't have to be a race live, there's plenty to watch and see. Back to pit lane though, gentlemen, and there is the number 88 Ford Mustang, the newly refettled Ford Mustang. Nothing mechanically different, but has had a few problems in terms of not being able to take the damage. The rear boot lid in UK parlance and the rear diffuser have been coming awry with both air pressure and indeed with contact. That has been fixed ahead of this race. For both the Proton cars we've got here and the cars we've got racing this weekend on the other side of the pond in Laguna Seca.
And you can see the two Manthey Porsches there, very different liveries, same car, same team, so that's the pure racing car. You saw the Manthey EMA car with the orange highlights in the background. They're coming in out a little later. Proton, the 88 car, also on pit lane, just giving themselves a little bit of clearer track. Now, that can be a double-edged sword. Yes, when you go out, you've got clear track in front of you. The problem is, often on your first fast lap, the drivers who went out a little earlier have already completed their fast lap and will not be going as quickly because they're trying to find a little bit more life in their tyres for another tilt of it. That may not be the case, but it does happen. You're just riding on board there with the Corvette of Belgian Tom van Rompuy, and Tom having a really entertaining time. He is loving being part of this World Endurance paddock. And actually, I was talking to a lot of drivers in the autograph session at lunchtime. Massive crowd. The pit lane was absolutely jam full, and they're just bowled away by how many fans are coming out to watch the championship. It's we keep saying it's a golden era, but it's really living up to that with the fans responding to it. One Corvette in the pit lane, change of right rear tyre, left rears as well, so it's a rear tyre change going on. So it may just be that they'd gone out and he didn't feel the love for the back. Maybe it was just a little bit out of balance, or
I think it's more about conditioning tyres for the race.
Could be.
It's my theory.
Put a lap on 'em.
They've had a lot of tyre wear, not wear, but lots of degradation. And one way that you can combat that is to condition a tyre nice and slow, just like they did on the outlap. You take that shiny edge, that release agent off the tyre, and you park it, put it in the garage overnight, and you revisit them tomorrow, and then you'll get out there. Another thing you're doing as well in the meantime is heating up your brakes, so then that can bleed into the wheel, into the air inside the tyre, and actually get the tyres working on the second set that goes on a bit quicker than the first set. So it's not a bad strategy from TF Sport there running the Corvettes.
talking to James Cottingham at the autograph session, and we were talking about sort of backgrounds. He said, I sell old cars. Well, DK Engineering do sell old cars, but, you know, not old cars as you and I can buy them, but proper historic cars. And he said, if you said to me 4 years ago, never having raced anything, that I would ever be racing in a world championship, I would have called you absolutely insane. And that's the mixture we've got of drivers who've got 30 years of racing experience from you know, single digits of age to drivers who are in their third or fourth year, and with a team that's new to this category and a car that's new to this category, they've got so much going on in so many of these teams.
Now, this is the other point. We were talking a little earlier about the bronze drivers being in this session. No fast laps completed yet. We'll come to that. James Cottingham, having not driven in this level of motorsports for until 4 or 5 years ago, is probably the most experienced bronze driver in a GT3 car in this field. And that shows the accessibility of this form of motorsport. Now, okay, his historic racing adventures have certainly helped him in terms of understanding what's going on in these cars. But James, I think you're going to see him climbing this order through this season.
Clément Mathieu just behind him in the 777D station Aston. That's the second car to have a lap dismissed because of exceeding track limits. Here's one of the 2 VistaJet Ferraris, 54, and one of the 2 McLarens, the 95. They're basically photo reverses, black and papaya, papaya and black. Yep. So 95 and 59.
Not much room given there, was it?
Not much.
Turn 5.
Josh Cahill, that was, I think, a bit of a moment. We said we'd see James Cottingham climbing up the order. Can't climb much higher than first at the moment, but it is early days. 2:32.357.
So Cottingham comes from historic racing latterly. I was talking to Josh. Josh, I didn't know, started in the British bike racing scene, so he rode Super Production and Superstock. So yeah, he comes from 2 wheels, and he was saying, "Oh, do you know Jack Bernicle?" Yes, Jack Bernicle's a really old friend of mine, old Eurosport bike racing colleague. But yeah, so I mean, it's bringing together. On the one hand, you've got Formula 1 drivers, Formula E drivers, endurance drivers and multiple Le Mans winners, and then you've got younger or less experienced drivers coming from the widest variety of different backgrounds.
All of a sudden, times are coming, and they're coming much more quickly. 2:22.9, 10 seconds quicker than that there from James Cottingham from Alain Raban. That's bettered by almost a full second, though. Immediately, Sarah Bovy goes to the top in the 85 Iron Dames Lamborghini.
Yeah, Cottingham's on a pretty decent lap as well, sitting P4 at the moment. You can see at the bottom of the screen. And Al Harty, last year's pole position man as well, 2.5 tenths up. So I should imagine that Sarah Bovy's had a bit of a dodgy first sector, and that's why pretty much everyone is beating that split. But Cottingham's hanging on to this lap by the time he gets to the middle sector.
Yeah, on target to be 1800s up. That's what the pink shows you. Yeah, who was second quickest in GT? It was Sarah Bovy. She was beaten by an Abad Al Harty, who last year was in an Aston.
Yeah, as Cottingham comes through the
final sector
to finish the lap.
So he went from first down to 7th, and when he completes the lap, pings him back up to second quickest. Still Sarah Bovy with the fastest lap.
You mentioned about maybe having not too convincing the first sector. She's just gone 8 tenths quicker than a previous lap. You were spot on at Davidson.
I don't know what happened, but basically you've only got 2 corners in that sector 1. You've got La Source, the first hairpin, which we said we covered at the beginning, and it's a tricky one to get right, and then the Eau Rouge section as well, as we watch the BMW car number 46 come to cross the line.
Yeah, he just saw Augusto Farfus going, come on, Ahmad, 1300s back. That's very close between last year's pole sitter and the previous year. Actually, Sarah Bovy lost out to Ben Keating, didn't she?
Tom van Rompuy has gone to the top by just under 2 tenths of a second, but it looks to me as if Sarah Bovy is way, way quicker than that. We'll keep an eye on her time.
Yeah, she's just coming around the final complex now, probably just behind this Lexus, actually.
That's Arnaud Robin. Arnaud Robin, 4th fastest. Good lap. And yeah, Sarah Bovy at the top of the shot. We ride on board with her. Now, listen how much she slows down into La Source. I think there's probably more than one consecutive quick lap on these tyres. She goes a long way high at the top of the tyres.
1.2 seconds clear. That is a mighty lap from Sarah Bovy. 2:20.527 plays a 2:21.766.
And that's going to be very hard for people to beat. She is absolutely on it there, isn't she? Nicely within the white lines as well through Eau Rouge and Radeon. So let's keep an eye on this first sector, because at some point, as we know, the tyre deg's massively high around this track this weekend, thanks to the hotter track temps. So can she hang on to this first sector? Thomas Floyd, bottom of your screen there, slower through that first sector by almost 6 tenths. So I don't know what happened to him, but yeah, we're keeping an eye on Sarah Bovy, and sure enough, I can see on our timing screens off of the screen we're looking at here, she has actually gone slower in sector 1.
The other thing to look here is that is quick and it is impressive, but it's not pole position yet, because remember, we've got Hyperpole to come. the gap on the bubble for the top 10 who will go through to that 10 minutes of Hyperpole is less than 200th of a second. And on the bubble in is Darren Young in the race-winning car last time out, the 31 BMW. And just out is Francois Heriot, 200th of a second.
And 777 has just jumped up into 12th place there. And again, 200s back.
Our eyes naturally, and I'm sure everyone watching, wherever you're watching, on the tablet or at home, however you're watching this, your eyes naturally go to the top. Well, don't anymore. Your eyes should be going to 10th and 11th and 12th, because all of those drivers underneath 10th, like you say, are on the bubble, but there's a lot of personal bests out there right now.
Look how insane the gap is. The 31 BMW, Darren Young, 2.547 back. Next car, 2.564, then 2.567.
It is a literal 200 separate 3 cars for 10th place.
And boom, 2 cars go quicker into the top 10, and Darren Young's down in 12th.
Thomas Floor, P8 at the moment. Yeah. I'm not sure that time will be absolutely safe, so he's going to be a little bit nervous behind the wheel right now, but at some point all the tyres are going to start dropping off, so if you're not on a fast lap now, you better get on it.
Right, where's Ian James just vanished to? He was last, he just came in and out of the pit lane, and he's vanished off the...
He's still last.
There's a bit of traffic coming up here into the final chicane.
This is Darren Young in the white-nosed red BMW. That's Ian James in front of him, just on the end of an outlap, Ian James.
I don't think he was held up.
No.
Was Leung there. But,
both of the Mustangs on the bubble, one in, one out, and the gap between the two of them, less than a 10th of a second. It actually comes down by half a 10th. So we've still got the 88 Mustang in, the 77 Mustang currently out, 3.25 minutes to go. Who's not in the Hyperpole so far? 77 Proton Competition Mustang, the WRT 31 BMW of Darren Young, last time out the winner. Francois Heriot in the Vista AF Corsa Ferrari, then the D-Station Aston Martin, TF Sports 82. There is the 777 coming round now.
This is an important lap here. Oh, he's got a McLaren in front of him. I couldn't quite see who that was, but I think, he might have been a little bit held up there as McLaren's preparing the lap. But is this going to be enough for Mathieu here, who isn't inside the top 10 at the moment, in 14th? What's it going to be as he crosses the line? I think he stays 14th.
Yeah, I don't think that was an improvement.
He does. I think that certainly balked him rather there, didn't it? The other 3 cars, by the way, that are not currently in the top 10, 2.5 minutes to go. It's the 87 Lexus Takeshi Kimura. It's Iron Lynx's number 60 Lamborghini in the hands of Claudio Schiavone, and it is Ian James, and that is a surprise, and I think there's more to come from Ian.
Well, he was in and out of the pit lane, so I wonder if he changed tyres, and also I think any laps that he's done previously have been deleted because of track limits, so he hasn't actually set a lap, which is why he's no longer appearing on the timing screen. Iron Dame's fastest, but in the pit lane, because, well, Sarabovi was 2 seconds clear of the drop zone, so it is between... It's basically now really tough between those 2 Proton Mustangs, because if you get in, if you're Giorgio Roda, you're bumped out by your teammate, but if you don't go faster, then you don't get in.
So those that are just starting a lap now won't get another lap. We've only got 1.5 minutes remaining of this session, and each lap time is taking 2 minutes 22 seconds.
This lap from Ian James could be just about to knock the Mustang out of 10th place. It looks like a good lap from Ian, and he's going to get another. So down the start-finish straight comes to number 27, Aston Martin. What is that lap time going to produce? It's 1.5 seconds. He's 7th, so dropping out of the top 10 and dropping a further place out because Arnaud Rabana's improved. He's put the Lexus into the top 10.
And we mentioned Thomas Floor earlier on in the number 54 AF Corsa Ferrari. He's now P9, so right on the cusp.
88 is in the pit lane, so that is their qualifying session done, and here's why. This is out of Piff Puff heading down towards campus. That's about as wild a ride as you want, isn't it? This is Giorgio Roda's on board.
Yeah, so easily done that. Just attempted to get on the power as early as you can through 13 to carry the speed, and you take that gamble, that decision inside the car, and it drags you off onto the gravel.
Time is almost up, under 30 seconds. Should mention, by the way, Ahmed Al-Hati took half a second out of Sarah Bovey's advantage. That doesn't really matter, though. The moves that matter there came from the Codis ASP 78 car. This is the car. It's inside the top 10 at the moment. I'm looking to see whether or not anybody else can challenge that. It's a good lap underway from Francois Oyo. He could knock this car out of contention into Hyperpole.
And the good news for Vista AF Corsa is he's not going to knock his teammate out because the team car is in 9th place, so they could get both cars in. Target is a 2:22.3. So he's 2.1 away in the second sector, so that's not happening.
Ian James, by the way, 7th place with his latest effort.
And he's got 1 lap to go, but I don't think that's going to be required. I think he'll be told by the team to bail out of his current lap.
Yeah, because the top 10, the cut-off point's 1.793 seconds away. So, yeah, Ario with 2.1 seconds away from the fastest time set.
Also watching Ryan Hardwick, he's right on this same pace, within 4 thousandths in the first sector. Could that put the Mustang in and the Lexus out? He's bailed out of that lap, but this is now going to be all about Ryan Hardwick. This is the beauty of this format. It's putting that lap together at the right time, and of course it's pretty quiet out there at the moment. Most of the field is on pit lane.
Well, their tyres have dropped away, that's why.
And they've done their laps. Ryan Hardwick was almost asleep at the dinner table in Spa when we arrived on Wednesday evening. They'd just flown in from the States, and he was just comatose. Yeah, I think this is a very pedestrian sector. He's just bailed on that. So he's obviously had a wake-up call from the tyres, and they've just gone, no, we're not home any longer. So unfortunately, neither Proton car makes it through. Last times winners, Team WRT, they don't make it through either.
But look at 7th and 8th, another improvement for United Autosports with the McLaren. Both those cars comfortably, and by the way, another improvement again that time to take the checkered flag from Ian James. He'll finish that session 4th place. At the moment, as things stand, I don't think we're going to see any major changes here. Just keeping it on this car. Hiroshi Kazumi, he's not going to make it either. It is going to be the Iron Dames, Sarah Bovey, the 85 car, topping that session.
Well, we knew it when we saw it, really, didn't we? It was such an impressive lap. It really stood out at the time to go 1.2 seconds faster, clear of the field. So such an impressive lap by her.
The 59 McLaren, James Cottingham, he's qualified for Hyperpole both times. He was 7th in Qatar, he was 10th in Imola. That was a last second lap as well. But for the 95 car, they were 8th fastest in the end in Qatar, but they missed out on Hyperpole in Imola, so both McLarens back in Hyperpole again.
Just looking at the turnout from here, is it 8? It's, I think I'm right, it's 7 of the 9 manufacturers with cars in Hyperpole.
WRT's 46 car made the Hyperpole both times in Qatar and in Imola, but it's the second Hyperpole. It would have been the second Hyperpole for the 31 car. They made it into Hyperpole in Imola, but did not make it for Qatar or here in Spa.
I can correct myself, it's 8. The only one that didn't make it into Hyperpole were these 2 cars.
Yeah.
And they were on the bubble right almost until the very end. So it is a Lamborghini, it's a BMW, it is both Porsches, 1 of the Aston Martins, 1 Corvette, both McLarens, a Ferrari and a Lexus. And I think that is Lexus's first appearance in Hyperpole about to come. They were the only marque that so far has not made it into Hyperpole.
Correct.
And now have done so.
15th and 16th, 16th and 18th have been how the 2 Lexuses have qualified so far this season. So it is a first appearance in Hyperpole for Codis ASP. Let's catch up with Sean Galale in the pits.
Gone as you would have liked in quali so far, but maybe you can make it up in the race after that great win in Imola.
Yeah, I mean, coming off from a high, obviously P13 in quali is not ideal, let's say, but you know, with the tire degradation we have this weekend, I think it's going to be something to be looking forward to in the race. Managing tires and the experience we have here hopefully will come to us a bit, but it's a long race tomorrow, 6 hours with 2 double stints that are, I think, really challenging for all of us. So hopefully we can make up some positions. The sister car did really well, so hopefully some data to cover up overnight as well.
Okay, good luck.
Yeah, so what Sean was saying there makes a lot of sense. You know, they're not too bothered about qualifying. He said, yeah, ideally we'd like to be higher than P13. but it's not essential for this race. You can overtake on this track a bit. Yeah, it's unlike Imola in many ways. So yeah, complete roles reversed. So you can overtake here. That puts less emphasis on track position to ensure a good qualifying, but also critically, and he touched on there, the tyre degradation. They're all aware of it. We're aware of it. So they're engineering and putting their full focus into trying to get a car that's drivable by slacking off the front end, really, not having a car that's too pointy and on the nose. When you turn, it violently turns in and leaves the rear wagging behind it, putting too much stress through the rears and making the car undrivable in race conditions. You don't want that. That's a qualifying car. You want a car on the nose and exactly as I described for qualifying usually, and you kind of deal with it in the race. Not this time. You have to engineer into it and put all your energy into making sure the car's not going to do that in the race, or less of that in the race. And he's saying, well, and if that gives us a slower qualifying car, so be it.
So it's great to see the United Autosport McLaren's getting a long lingering camera shot there. Excellent qualifying from them, and a big step forward from what we saw at Qatar in the opening race. It looked like what it was, which was a rush start to the season for United Autosports, but they're getting the code sorted, aren't they, for LMGT3?
Well, in qualifying, they both made Hyperpole in Qatar. They were 7th and 8th fastest, but the race was an entirely different beast. And again, that was due to never having raced the car. And that's a big factor, and it sounds like a really silly and obvious thing to say, but remember when Peugeot arrived for the very first time in Monza, and they said, look, this is a test car, and we're a test team. It's not yet a race car, and we're definitely not yet a race team. And that has to come, and you can't shortcut that time cycle. It only comes with experience, and the McLaren guys were saying exactly that. The drivers are saying exactly that today. We know we've got to be patient. This is endurance, and don't forget that you can see some of what goes on behind the scenes in full access 10 days from now.
Ready to go green for Hyperpole. 10 cars, remember, 12 minutes. Is this, gentlemen, going to be another of those eras in motorsport where you will wish you were trackside to watch it? There's been so many of them, and there's plenty that I wish I'd actually taken the time to go and see the cars when they're in action. I have a feeling this is going to be another one.
It's one of those circuits you come to, and as good as it is, standing here with you guys commentating, I'm very jealous of the fans sitting at Eau Rouge watching these cars come in. I'd love to, but yeah, don't worry, I won't leave the microphone just yet.
Darren Leung in the background there, just taking his race suit off. No further action in Hyperpole for him, but both Manthey Porsches have got in, and you know, again, you look at a name like Manthey and you automatically nail Porsche on the back of that. They've been racing Porsches since Olaf Manthey was driving, and he's now effectively retired from even running the team. That's how much history they've got. So you put them together, what they don't know about 911s, it exceeds what I do know about 911. So they have got plenty of knowledge, of engineering background to draw on. McLaren, a different kettle of fish with United Autosports. Very strong engineering lineup, but they don't know the car yet.
Just goes to show the level of interest being taken. That was Andreas Roos, the head of BMW Motorsports, in the WRT garage, watching the start of this Hyperpole session. As the 87 Lexus is put away, the 78 will be slightly late into the session.
How gutting is that, watching your teammate getting out there for Hyperpole as you're getting wheeled back into the garage?
Oh dear, slowly, remorselessly, oh.
That's such is the trials and tribulations of Hyperpole qualifying.
Okay, Tom, obviously you have the open track position, manage this outlap, build the tyres up, but make sure you start your push with 0 PPU.
Yeah, so exactly the tyre build-up, as we talked about before with TS Sport, actually, the team you watch now on camera, it's very critical that you don't take too much of the edge of the tyre off on that outlap, and they really should be at their best on lap 1 or 2, nothing after that. And you would see that if the pros were at the wheel. You'd definitely see them maximise the tyres that they have there under them right now early on, and extrapolate all of that performance. But it's harder to do when you're unfamiliar with racing in general and the car itself and the track, and that's what the bronze drivers are going through. So that's a real test for them, and that's why I say it's more about the driver than the machinery, particularly for the bronze drivers right now.
We shouldn't forget, by the way, 2 home drivers here. We've just looked at one of them in Tom van Rompuy, and here's the other in Sarah Bovey in the very pink and white Iron Dames Lamborghini. And
so what you can see here is that drivers going slowly, purposely slowly on the outlap. Now, we've seen that in places like Imola. That's because of tyre warm-up being a problem. That's not so much the case here on this high-speed circuit where you put a lot of cornering energy into the shoulder of the tyre. It's going to really switch on nice and early. So watching the drivers drive around now slowly is because they don't want to take away that edge of the tyre. They're building them up, just like you heard from the TF Sport crew in the Corvette. Don't go damaging them unnecessarily now. It's a long old lap as well for an outlap round here at Spa, so they should be nicely in for lap 1, particularly lap 2. And so it's all going to happen quite soon, I should imagine, in this session for us.
Patience is such an underrated virtue, but this is endurance racing. It's all about patience. You've got to have speed, but you can't use it too early. And this is like turbo-era qualifying tyres that only had 1 lap in them. That's how you have to judge these. You have to baby them, and then when you get the chance, when you're coming out of the bus stop to start your lap, that's the first time you go and lean on the tyre. James Cossingham's doing that right now in a 59 United car.
Yeah, into Le Combe we come. You brake just as that red and yellow curb comes at you to send you through 4, 5. Use the curb on the left-hand side of 4. Get over to the left-hand side of the track to open up. Turn 6. Down the hill now towards Brussels corner. Hug the inside as much as you can. He seems to go on forever inside the car before it goes even further downhill to turn 9. Get on power as early as you can. That's important as you continue that downhill process towards Pouhon. Turn 10 and 11 coming at you. Brake, downshift 2 gears and send the car through that one as we now pick up Ian James on his way down towards Pouhon.
Quickest at the moment in Sector 1 in the session. Early days yet at 40.299.
That little bit of extra tarmac, by the way, when you come down to here, that shorter bit, we don't use that. That's for bike racing, because they build up so much speed coming down the hill out of Rivage.
In turn 9, yeah, the corner with no name.
Which now has a name.
Jackie X corner. Yeah.
Is that official, though? Because I don't think it,
it was renamed.
Oh, huge accident.
And that's really significant. That's one of 2 pole-earning drivers this season. Alex Malikin, that's on the exit of turn 4. That is a bit... Oh, no, it's not the exit of the bus stop. No, that is the exit of turn 4. So that's a Redillon.
It is, yeah.
So he's lost it over the brow, hit the fence on the outside, and he's topped and tailed it, hasn't he? And that's an instant red flag, absolutely no question at all. Now, the clock has stopped. And, of course, the only interest of the marshals and the race director is waiting for the driver's door to open to make sure that Alex Malikin is A-OK. And that will be exactly the interest of everybody watching in every garage, whether it's your teammate or any of your rivals or somebody with whom you've got no beef in a different class. Every driver and every team manager and member is watching to see that the driver is OK. Because Eau Rouge has a fearsome reputation. And it did look as though the car had held up well. It might just have knocked the wind out of his sails. It kind of rings your bell, I think, probably, if you have a big one at Eau Rouge, whether the car takes the brunt of it or not.
So at these moments, you just wait, as the rest of the teams are, waiting to see if the driver's OK.
OK,
look at a replay.
He is OK, or we would not be seeing a replay. So Alex Malikin, car snaps away from him going up over the brow end.
Nasty. I know how that feels. And poor old Alex Malikin, yeah. There's, the car got away from him so late. That's the problem in the compression, and nothing he could do after that to bring it to a standstill, to safety. So that was a hefty old hit.
Now, again, we talked about how late they try and warm up the tyres. I wonder whether there wasn't quite enough temperature there in the rear, because he's in the compression, and then the tail is just not going, it's not following the nose. So
it's a corner that's not flat out for the LMGT3 cars, so it's a real test of driver skill and machinery, and it's a part of the track where you know you can make up quite a bit of lap time in trying to keep your foot in there, and that's exactly what's happened. So at some point the car gets away from you. Usually you catch it though early, and you can then, usually you run wide on the right-hander, and we hear about track limits on the inside of turn 4, but that was just so unfortunate. It got away from him so late. And that's always the fear going through that part of the track. So, yeah, like you say, the time has stopped. They'll be able to clear up the damage. But, yeah, like I said, the most important thing is that the driver seems to be OK.
Big grandstand there, pretty full. That's the new grandstand that they opened last year with great views of the track. Basically, you can see them from La Source all the way past you up the Kemmel Straight, and then you see them coming back past us down to the bus stop and across the top. And remember, last year, the big crash that was down there with the caddy, and a huge round of applause from the crowd when the driver steps out. They're as concerned about the driver as everybody else. You don't mind seeing the odd incident, because it's like when ice skaters fall over. You suddenly realise that what they're doing is actually really, really difficult. And when cars let go, that's when you realise, yeah, actually, no, I really can't do that.
And it hurts.
And it hurts.
They shouldn't forget that, and it hurts.
Yeah.
It's a horrible feeling when you know you're going in. You know there's nothing you can do at that point. When I saw it go around so late, that you know you're basically going to hit the barrier very hard, very quickly. Yeah, I can totally empathise with how he was feeling there. Not nice, but we don't want to see that corner change. As racing drivers, we love the challenge of Eau Rouge. We don't want to see it change, and we all obviously heavily respect it. And it's just, you know, it's such an exhilarating feeling to drive a racing car through there, particularly when you know it's not flat out, because suddenly Eau Rouge becomes the corner it's always talked up to be.
Every garage we've seen here, it's the same concerned expression. And that's the thing. At this point, all that team focus, that tribalism evaporates.
Oh, sure.
Then it becomes back to being the family.
Well, that's the one thing that makes this job so much fun, is that from us to them to the fans, everybody shares one thing in common. Wherever they've come from, whatever their background, financial, business, or social, we have one thing in common, and that's a passion for cars being raced to the limit. And that's what unites everybody.
And, you know, it's a testament as well to the work the FIA do in this area, and all the manufacturers, because the fact that you can have a driver walk away from such a huge impact like that is, you know, the circuit safety comes into it, the barriers, of course, and that's why they're going to take a while to fix the barriers from that damage, because it has to fit the track's homologation, how it was homologated to fit the FIA safety standards, the car as well, rigorous tests to take them through their own safety tests, and all of the safety equipment that a modern-day driver has to wear through the FIA's rigorous processes that they go through. So it's testament to all that work, and you can see the new tyre barrier working its way up the hill, because it's done a lot of damage quite clearly to that.
We're going to get more information on a restart time for this session at 15:25. That's about 7 minutes time. Not unusual in these circumstances, and to see either our race director or a nominee down there to take a look at damage and take a look at the work underway. I think we will see that in these circumstances.
Bruce Ioane down there in the garage talking to the Manthey team boss. I think if he can find out if the team have heard anything on the radio, and it just looked like there wasn't quite enough temperature in the tyre and it just got away from him.
Yeah, it did look like that. I can't see, was he on an out lap or... Yeah, he was with just one lap on the board, so that was that was him building up. That was him on his first flying lap. So he'd done one out lap, so a little bit behind everyone else with 2 laps on the board. They were on, well into their proper timed lap. He was on his, couldn't even be an out lap. Was that an out lap? Was it just 1 lap on the board? It recognises.
No, because that's a completed lap, so it would have been, it would have been his first flying lap. Yeah.
First flying lap, yeah.
Definitely. Well, he didn't, funnily enough, have time to radio the team anything. So again, you look at that impact when we saw it in real speed. It's going in backwards. That's a big hit. That will absolutely have knocked the wind out of his sails. And so they're obviously taking time to take him out of the car to make sure that he's stabilised, that he's got a neck brace on and so on, just to ensure there are no injuries, because adrenaline does weird things. There you go. Now he's finally out of the car. You can hear the applause of the crowd.
This is the point. There's no rush at this point.
No.
There's only one thing that matters. He's okay, and it's in the best possible hands.
Yeah, so big crowd here at Spa-Francorchamps. We're hearing that up to 90,000 fans may be coming in on race day. So if you are one of them, then early morning start. If you're not, I think you rightly should be kicking yourself. Oh, I can't believe we didn't go. It's so easy to get to Spa. And in fact, the number of different languages being spoken in the pit lane during the autograph session at lunchtime absolutely reflects that. Almost every European language I could recognise, and a lot I probably can't, you could hear from the spectators. So the fans meeting their heroes. And actually, the queue to see the doctor, there must be a lot of very unwell people here. The queue to see the doctor it's like passport control. They've got flexi barriers going to and fro and zigging and zagging, and a number system in operation. If you haven't phoned by 8 a.m, you're not getting in.
I had the same experience. I went down there to try and see the doctor. I've got a meeting with him week on Tuesday.
But that's because we're not world champions. But if you want to see a world champion, a 9-time Le Mans winner, and a 9-time world champion having got conversation, go to the FIA WEC YouTube channel and look at the most recent full access from Imola, because Ant had the opportunity to sit down with Valentino Rossi and Tom Christensen and chew the fat, and selected moments of that, I think it's fair to say, are in the programme, because Ant, when he is in relaxed mode, I think actually Valentino's quite, a bit like Tom, quite hard to shut up.
Obviously, he's a larger-than-life character. He's great fun, a superhuman being, and obviously an even better sports person all round who loves racing, whether it's on 2 wheels, 4 wheels, 1 wheel. He absolutely loves it, and that really comes through in the full access feature. So if you haven't seen it, then definitely give it a look on YouTube. It's not the only one. There are loads of them. I think, as you said earlier on, Graham, you can binge watch your way through it all.
You can, since we started doing this 2 seasons ago, and they're all still there to watch. The 81 car being pushed out back to its pit stall from the head of that queue.
It might just need a wee.
Here's the barrier repair underway.
All the fluid, by the way, is not from the car. That will be because, like the rest of Europe, up until the last 3 days, it has rained like cats and dogs here for months. And so every single one of those tyres has got a nice couple of inches of fetid water inside it. Yeah, so there's a lot of water in the tyres.
Well, hopefully they don't drag that water onto the racing line.
Well,
it's a pretty slick operation here in Spa. They know what they're doing, and I'm sure they're going to stick to taking those old tyres away off the racing line at least.
So 31.6 degrees currently the track temperature. So hopefully that spilled water will start to evaporate quite quickly.
Only 25 degrees warmer than in last year's race. that's Celsius, by the way, not Fahrenheit either.
Respectful applause from the crowd up at Raidillon.
Oh yeah, such a knowledgeable crowd base here at Spa. They know what they're looking at. They can see the efforts of all the drivers, but also everyone involved, all of the marshals who are volunteers, of course. So that's, that round of applause, a lot to do with them and the work that they put in.
So a lot of rebuild work for Manthey EMA, and the very first thing they'll be looking at, Pure Racing, Manthey Pure Racing, is what damage has been done to the actual structure of the car. And I do worry, when you see a big impact like that, the engine, the gearbox all get shunted through into the middle of the car.
Particularly the rear as well of that car. That looked very seriously damaged indeed to me. Let's put that to one side. What they're concerned about right now is their driver, and Alex Malikin. I'm sure we'll be able to bring you news of that as soon as we can get it. But moving on from that, they then shift to what the prospects are for what work might be needed with that or anything else.
So if he's, what I assume will happen, he's okay, but not okay enough to race tomorrow, what happens? Then they're out?
I think they may be out the race, because you need a bronze driver. He is the bronze driver. We're now in qualifying. There is no further track time for the bronze driver.
Sure.
Well, let's see if we can learn anything at all from Manthey. Bruce Ioane is down there.
And just for information, Yasser, Alex is fine. They took him to hospital for checks, which is normal. It's a standard procedure, but he's fine.
Okay, so that in fact was radio there to the Manthey EMA car. And so that was Yasser Shaheen, who you heard being told update on his teammate from the crew. So yeah, I mean, lots of water, but it's not lots of water. We're not talking hundreds of litres, it's just water. Well, and it's way offline. It is pit exit road.
But the old pit exit road, so that's not the section of track that we are using. So we'll get a good long shot and see whether or not there is any intrusion, but that will be dealt with, I'm sure. They're fully well aware that that is not the kind of place where you want to find water on the track.
And you know, mentally, for all these drivers about to go back out there after witnessing a crash like that, all of them would have been on the radio, I'm sure, asking to be updated on if the driver's okay, and to mentally put yourself back in that kind of fighting mode that you need to be in for qualifying, where you have to put all that stuff out of your mind, is asking even more from a bronze driver to get into that mindset after seeing a crash, because it's a harsh reminder of what can happen.
I was going to make that point exactly, that for a pro driver, he was just unlucky, it can't happen to me, but we're talking about bronze drivers, bronze-rated drivers, you know, professional businessmen who race for enjoyment, usually, men and women.
Oh, it's such a slow getaway, wasn't it, as the rear came round?
Yeah.
It happened so slowly. The annoying thing for him, he would have felt it so early, but it just wasn't coming back.
Yeah. It's almost the worst possible angle for the car that it could have been. It's smack into that corner, pushing the wheel through where the gearbox sits, the drivetrain sits. Yeah, that's a horrible incident.
Now, did see a couple of cars being pushed back. Tom van Rompuy's Corvette and Ian James's Aston Martin, both being pushed back to the pit stalls. Saw Ian James walking into the back of the garage, so I did facetiously say that actually they might have pushed it back because he needed a wee. It's entirely possible he might have had, because everybody hydrates nicely at lunchtime, and you're sitting in the car and faced with the prospect of another 10 minutes sitting in the car. I think, actually, do you know what? Just going to have a quick comfort moment to myself.
Well, just to say the moment at which we're going to be given updates has passed by a couple of minutes, and the updated time for more information about the session resumption in about 2.5 minutes. We've seen pictures of the work underway to repair that damaged tyre barrier. There's a bit of a relaxed moment there from the front seat for the driver of the WRT car.
Yeah, that was Ahmed Al-Harti showing no pain there at all.
Absolutely.
And there's Tom van Rompuy. Had Boulette with the Corvette team last night. Very enjoyable it was.
I hear we're going to see his father at Le Mans this year, and racing that we've got on the Friday of Le Mans 24 Hours, part of the support network, is the VW Fun Cup again. And Tom's father is going to be racing in that together with my good friend Nico Verdonk.
Sounds like a missed opportunity for the Martin family, because Maxime Martin has done the 25-hour Fun Cup race here at Spa with his father and uncle, who are also Spa 24-hour race winners, and Max's own brother as well. So, yeah, they've definitely missed out on that rich opportunity for more track time Although quite how a Fun Cup car compares to an LMGT3, I'm not entirely
Better
sure.
still was the time that Jackie X did it with his 5 children. So the 6-person car, XXXXX, all the way down the side of those things. Wonderful little race cars, great fun.
Only one of whom I think I've ever seen racing at top level, which was Vanina.
Yeah.
And if you didn't know who Vanina X was, you only had to wait for it to smile and you went, oh my goodness.
Well, worth saying, by the way, in the era of the Iron Dames, what a trailblazer she was, making podiums in the Le Mans Series, which in very many ways was the predecessor to the World Endurance Championship, in LMP1.
Estimated time to resume the session at 15:33. Estimated time to resume the session, 15:33.
2 things about Eduardo. He will not be rushed on safety, and he likes to keep everybody in the loop, of which the first is the critical one, obviously, but he knows that teams are going to want to know, because if it's going to be 2 minutes or 20 minutes, it does make a big difference.
Well, think about this, but we'll have a listen first into the what's going on at the 95 McLaren from United Autosports.
I'm pretty sure James will push straight away when it goes green, so you don't have to make a gap to him. If you do a normal procedure of us, it would automatically bring a gap enough for us.
So let me put this into context that maybe more of us mere human beings would understand in a moment. Before though, we're going to hear from the Iron Dames, number 85.
At the moment, the plan is to go out lap, then push, and then we see if we can make another one or not. So it might be 2 fast laps, so out and 2 fast laps.
Okay.
Worst thing, by the way, no one has yet got a fast lap in this session. The point I was going to make is, you said about Eduardo and giving that information. Let's put it into the context.
Let's not try and make that point. Let's get down to the pit lane. Bruce Ioane is with Davide Rigon at AF Corsa Ferrari.
Davide, it's your teammate, Mr. Floor, who's driving the car. How does he like the track here?
He likes so much the track. He was very good this morning on the practice, and as well in qualifying he got a track limit in a good lap, but then he was able to do the top 10. So he's driving very well actually. He liked the car, he liked the track of course. So now let's see the Hyperpole.
Okay, tire degradation is okay on the car?
We have a tire degradation like everybody, but the pixel looks very good, and then the tire degradation is high like everybody. Let's see, tomorrow will be a big challenge.
Okay, good luck.
Thank you.
Any more radio interviews, or go on, Graham.
One Ferrari,
we'll allow you to take it.
We'll do that when they're on track. We're less likely to have them talking at that point. But one Ferrari in this session, one Aston Martin in this session, one BMW in this session, the 2 McLarens, a Lexus, 1 Corvette, and now sadly 1 Porsche, with the elimination of the number 92 car from the session.
Malikin had just done the fastest last sector.
Yeah, by a distance.
That's interesting, isn't it? Because it looked like either not enough tyre pressure or not enough tyre grip, or it bottomed or something let go quite late as he's climbing the rise. It's just going and going.
Late but slow, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Late but slow. Yeah, that's the bit where he probably thought, I've got this, I've got it.
And then he goes over the rise, and then you really, all bets are off because it's taking off. Yeah, and actually, for his teammate, suddenly Yasser Shaheen there in the Manthey EMA car, you're suddenly thinking, oh, okay.
Can you just dial a little bit more understeer into my car before we head back out there, please?
Now, the deal we heard with Sarabovi is we go green 7.5 minutes, which means under 5 minutes of actually fast running, because it's going to take them 2 minutes 30 to get around. Lexus isn't moving, so 2 cars have left the pit lane. The Lexus is not moving, so that's Martin Haven Mini there, refusing to restart after a red flag. But that means that everybody else is now, that's another 10 or 15 seconds they've lost getting out on track. That might deny them another lap. Never mind the Lexus, seeing remaining BMW heading out. That's 46, that's Ahmed Al-Hati. So the most you're going to have is 5 minutes, 2 push laps, and there might be time for another one. Will it produce any speed on the third lap? That's the question. I'm not sure it will. I think I just heard the Lexus fire. No, I didn't. They're pushing it away. Oh, this is a real nightmare. So this is Arnaud Robin, raced last year in the Road to Le Mans support race as part of the Michelin Le Mans Cup Championship, and will race at Le Mans in this Lexus. And finally, the Manthey EMA Porsche heads out, going past them now, just on the right-hand side of your screen. So that's Yasser Shaheen, but
it's a quick fire session. It's even quicker now, of course, with that red flag. So any problem for that Lexus, it's going to be tough to get them out and into this with any kind of rhythm.
Well, what it means is, even if it fires now, he's not going to get 2 quick laps under any circumstances. It's a proper one shot in the pistol. This is a gentle beginning to an outlap from Yasser Shaheen. No, this is his outlap. He's only just left the pit, so he's just building up to speed gradually.
Yeah, just building up on the outlap. We heard from Sarah Bovey and her engineer saying exactly that. Build up on the outlap. 2 flying laps here. What's this? A new
battery?
Yeah,
it's the jumper. It's a Formula 3 restart. It's a push the battery in. Obviously, the onboard cars, like your car at home, they have an onboard battery. But when the high compression racing engine is red hot and doesn't want to start, you need a lot of juice to turn it over.
Right then, into
James
the final
Cottingham,
change.
here we go. Beginning of the first flying lap of the session.
And you see the drivers do that line into 18 and 19. It's almost as if they're going to peel off and come into the pits, because you square the car up more easily. Exit in 19, get the car straighter to maximise your traction before the braking zone into the source, the first corner, where you have to get all the power nice and early, right up a little bit onto that red sausage curb on the exit. So we're looking back at the Lexus, still sitting there in the pits. Now, Cottingham works his way towards Eau Rouge. There will be a lift at this point here, and then back on the throttle over the curb.
Well,
that looked a little bit steady for me.
The thing of it is, you've got to get a lap in. So this is the banker. So yes, be steady, and then the next lap, if you feel that confidence, then push it a little bit more. He will get a second time lap, I'm pretty sure. 4 minutes 20, and he's already in this lap, so he should get another one as long as he doesn't have an issue.
Yeah, it's a two and a half minute on, being comfortable, 2.5 minute lap for these guys and girls. So yeah, he'll easily get another lap as he heads towards turn 8.
And again, get the lap. Don't lose it because of track limits. Don't lose it in the first corner. For God's sake, don't lose it in the bus stop. And Sarah Bovey, same deal. It's getting a lap in. There might only be 1 lap on the board from many of these drivers, and it's got to be as good a conservative lap as you can do.
The only flip side to that is, of course, if there's another yellow flag or, God forbid, another red flag, then it's good to get not just a banker, but a good banker lap as well. Yeah, so that's the gamble you play with from inside the car. And yeah, Bovey looked like she was attacking a little bit more on this first flying lap for her. And but it's Ian James that holds on to that fastest first sector right now.
Yeah, the Aston's very good early on its tyres. We saw that in the whole field qualifying session, and maybe it's Ian James and the Aston. Cottingham riding the curbs nicely. In fact, this is Josh Cahill riding the curbs nicely in 95.
Good first sector for Josh Cahill as well, 3rd quickest at the moment on this first flyer.
Good stuff. Thomas Floor, 40.68. So 2 tenths away, 2800ths away in that first second. First sector.
Getting all crossed up there through turn 18. And yeah, for those of you wondering why you're not seeing any lockups in LMGT3, they do have anti-lock braking systems as part of the rules and regulations. You are allowed to run those on these cars.
Cahill drifting it out wide there, out to the final corner. Keeps it clean. United Autosports 1-2.
But for how long? Sarah Bovey about to finish her lap. Thomas Fleur as well. Fleur goes second, splits the McLarens, all in the 221s, and the gap between second and third, 1,000th of a second.
Sarah Bovey on target to be 63 hundredths ahead. Wow, 26 2/10ths, not 0.63. She found a lot in the final sector in that Lamborghini.
She did indeed. Sarah Bovey leads Josh Cahill by over 1/4 of a second.
If it's anything like her attempts in the first round of qualifying, which seems quite a long time ago now, she'll build up and improve on her second lap. But I feel like that's all these tyres are good for right now.
Well, she's been denied here at home 2 years in a row by an Aston Martin driver. She does not want that to happen again by anybody.
So Ahmed El-Hati goes third. Say, Arnaud Raban, by the way, has come back into the pits in that Lexus.
He hasn't left the pits. That's the Lexus that has not moved, and it will not start. So we will have 8 top 10 qualifiers. Now, Arnaud Raban, because he got into the top 10, will be 9th on the grid, and if the Pure Racing Manthey car starts, it will be 10th on the grid, because 11th on down, that's where they've qualified.
1 single minute left on the clock. That's wide from...
Lost the lap.
From the 59 car. Just about everybody is up here, though. Has the approach of the McLarens paid off, or is it going to be Ian James, who didn't go for a quick lap, but is now quicker than anybody on the lap he's on?
Yeah, so both Cottingham and Cahill are on good laps here.
Yeah, I'm afraid James went 4 wheels out wide there, and that was far too clear. And he was 2700s down in the second sector as well. So this is not on target to be a fastest lap, but he might move up. But if he keeps the lap, Josh Cahill still second quickest. The second sector is a couple of tenths off that of the Iron Dames.
But Sarah Bovey hasn't improved her middle sector compared to her personal best. She's still up on her lap overall, as you can see, but her middle sector, at least, hasn't been a personal best. It was her first sector that was.
But not a good lap here from Ian James. Not a good middle sector. He's dropped time there. I don't think he's going to be a threat here for pole position. Bovey goes through. She does improve.
Yep.
And it's again a monster third sector.
No, it wasn't. She only went fastest over personal best in the first sector. She lost time to herself throughout the next 2 sectors.
But quicker than anybody else. It's a 2:20.755, 0.3 of a second quicker than anybody. Josh Cahill is on a quick lap now. Ian James improved to 6th, but no better, and has seen the checkered flag.
Yasser Shaheen might be the danger. He's the only one in the top 4 who's still got a good lap going. Josh Cahill's first sector not as quick. He lost half a second. In fact, he lost 3/4 of a second to the fastest lap in sector 2, the twiddly stuff at the bottom. Does he gain anything up the hill?
Nope.
Not enough, no.
No, I think the tyres are dropping off, and that's what Bovey would have felt. It's quite often you do your best lap, your first sector, the best first sector on your second go at it, and then the 2 other sectors drop away afterwards.
James Cottingham with another lap going, so he didn't take the oh, big handful there. Warning from the tyres as he came down towards towards campus. Down at the bottom of the hill, and then starts the long climb. This is where the public road joins in on the left-hand side of your picture there. That's the old public road circuit, then sweeping up the hill.
He's doing everything right. He's using all the racetrack. He's really hustling the car, but it's not responding. I feel like he's had the best juice from those tyres, but perseveres nevertheless.
Well, the reality here is a United Autosports McLaren is going to be second on this grid in LMGT3, but is it going to be Josh Cahill, my apologies, Josh, or is it going to be James Cottingham?
They're already celebrating down there at Iron Dames.
And rightly so. I don't think anybody's got anything to show to Sarah Bovey. So 2 years in a row, she was close to pole and didn't get it. This year, she does have it. But you're right, Josh Cahill, 8th in Qatar on his World Championship debut. That was a phenomenal result. 15th in Imola, 2nd. Front row of the grid for the United Autosports McLaren here in Spa. That is an outstanding performance, and Sarah Bovey is our first Belgian pole sitter of the day and the 2nd of the season.
Yeah, some nice laps there from Sarah Bovey, a well-deserved pole position, an impressive display in the first round, in the knockout round of qualifying, and was able to put aside any negativity that the drivers would have experienced from what happened earlier on in this knockout. Anyway, in this Hyperpole session. So yeah, great job by her and for all the drivers as well. They kept her honest, didn't they? Just 3 tenths away for Josh Cahill, who aborted that last lap, actually. He had a pretty decent first sector, then it all went away from him in the middle sector, decided better of it and boxed the car.
This is where motorsport's different. Almost 3.5 tenths of a second, nothing in real-time terms in motorsport. It's like a weekend. It really is a big gap, and Sarabovi will be rightly completely delighted with that.
I was talking to the girls when they were signing autographs earlier, and they were going, we have got to win a race soon. It can't keep not happening.
Well, they had such a terrible time in Imola, didn't they, with the car failing. They spent more time in the garage than out on the track. So
don't forget, Sarah got turned into the pit wall before they even got to the start line.
Yeah, it's unfortunate scenes in Imola for them, but yeah, they'll be on a mission to try and put that right here, and they're off to a brilliant start. It's a long day tomorrow, and but I feel like the car is working well on this track, and especially the drivers in that car.
And Josh Cahill, front row of the grid. That's an exceptional performance from the McLaren.
3 races or 3 hyperpoles so far in the books for LMGT3 in the FIA World Endurance Championship, and 3 different cars from 3 different teams so far has made pole position.
However,
that's what that means.
It's Belgium 2, rest of the world 1.
Always a nice moment when you can celebrate your achievements. That's the beauty of sports car racing. You share that moment with the rest of your teammates and team. So yeah, it's got more of a human element to it in many ways, and you can celebrate even more as a group than you can. It's more of a team sport.
And especially here at home for her, you know, friends and family here as well, you know, what a place to do it. It's her home country, it's her home race, and she takes, and I don't care who you are, actually, whatever country you come from, pole at Spa, people, you've just done exactly that, nodded in appreciation. People do that.
Nice feather in the cap to have.
It's like pole at Monaco or a win at Monaco. Really? I don't care what it was in. She takes pole for the Iron Dames. United Autosports' Josh Cahill outside front row for the start. Then Ahmed Al-Hati, last year's pole man for Team WRT, in 3rd in a BMW. Yasser Shaheen in a Porsche in 4th. James Cottingham makes it 2 McLarens in the top 5. Boy, how their fortunes have changed in qualifying in just 2 short months. That's impressive stuff. Well, let's hear from Josh Cahill. He is down in the pit lane with Bruce Schwani as Sarabovi celebrates pole.
Josh, congratulations. It's a really good result. You're improving every time.
Yeah, thank you. It's really nice to get a result for all the boys. Everyone at United and McLaren are working so hard, you know. So it's nice to sort of repay the favour and, yeah, get a good result for everybody, to be honest.
Looking forward to the race now? You think could be competitive?
Yeah, we can relax for tonight at least, and then the serious stuff starts tomorrow. But, yeah, for sure, really positive. Glad to be starting on the front row, and we can hopefully stay out of trouble and have a good race.
Well done.
Thank you.
Happy boy. And the BMW drivers are talking about this, the Hypercar team, one competitive week in Imola, or one competitive day in Imola, and suddenly their tails are up, and their heads down, attitude after Qatar, where they thought, what are we going to do with this car, turns around. And for McLaren and United, who have had a bit of a struggle with that car, today, this weekend, they've got it locked in. It's working for them. The things they're doing are working, and that makes a big difference, and we'll see that as well when the hypercars go out, you know.
Well, you make that point and make it with spectacular timing. That was LMGT3. Now we turn up the WEC, because now we've got 19 hypercars, and if this is your first time joining us this season for the FIA World Endurance Championship, 1, where have you been, and 2, boy oh boy, has this top class of sports car racing taken a big step forward. Some souvenirs there from the paddock. All these cars are Michelin tyres, and there is a tyre choice for them here. And again, these colour-coded sidewalls tell you exactly whether or not we've got soft, medium, hard, or the wet tyre. And the big change out from last time out at Imola is the new tyres for 2024 have been introduced, which means you can see it trackside.
Yeah, I mean, the new colour scheme's a little bit awkward if you're an F1 fan and you're new to the World Endurance Championship. No, they're not the wrong way round. We are using the white stripe for the soft tyre and the red stripe for the hard tyre, but the medium is the yellow, as I'm sure you're all familiar with. So this year, we've come here with the soft and the medium. Last year, we were here with the hard and the medium. So, yeah, bit of a turnaround there, and it's causing some havoc.
I see Isotta is the last car in the queue, so we make sure you tell me the gap to Isotta especially.
Yes.
In next laps.
A really important session for track position, particularly for the hypercars, because they get affected more with the turbulence than we would have seen with the LMGT3s.
Hypercar qualifying. We are under 1 minute to start hypercar qualifying. Let's take the opportunity to remind the drivers they need to respect track limits.
15-minute session for all 19 hypercars, and as with LMGT3, the 10 fastest go through to the Hyperpole session. 11th on down, that's where you start. The grid is fixed, so these laps are very important.
Under 30 seconds.
And what was the separation in FP3 between the top 7 cars? 3/10.
Yeah.
This is going to be intense.
Isn't it just? Just about ready to go.
And almost everybody had a dog in the fight there in FP3.
Qualifying will start in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hypercar qualifying session has started.
So the green flag is shown at the end of pit lane, and we can start to call. It's going to take a while to clear pit lane for this. It's hard to tell you who's aboard these cars. In the 2 Toyotas, 7 will be with Kamui Kobayashi, 8 in the hands of Brendan Hartley. The 5 and the 6 Porsche Penske Motorsport cars, Matt Campbell and Kevin Estra. Alex Lynn in the Cadillac.
Just waiting, Graham, here to see Brendan Hartley through Eau Rouge. And he's further than he was this time last year.
You'd appreciate that.
Harsh, but you'll get the joke.
Jean-Carl Vernet in the Isotta Fraschini. The 2 Hertz Team Shota cars in the hands of Callum Eilert. And in the 38 car, it will be Phil Hansen. BMW showed really well last time. Was contact between the
5
2
and
Porsches.
6. That's the 2 Porsche Penske cars locking up their cold front tyres at Les Combes.
Well, both back on track. But
and going the correct way through the tyre zigzag
again.
Yep.
They both lost the rear end under braking at the last second.
How did they miss each other there?
And the BMW was at the same position, braking in the same point, and didn't lose the front.
This is what it looked like from on board. So close. Imagine that. I mean, how would you explain yourself to Roger Penske?
Briefly, I think is the answer. 15 of the 20, by the way, the BMW is in the hands of Dries Venter, Robin Freins. Away goes the Peugeot. The 35 and 36 from Alpine, Charles Malaysia, Mick Schumacher in the 35 and 36. The 2 Ferraris, Antonio Fuoco has been their star in qualifying against James Gallardo, the 50 and the 51. The 63 Lamborghini is in the hands of Danny Kvyat. We've just seen Loïc Duval leave in the 94 Peugeot. It's Proton Competitions number 99 Porsche in the hands of Julian Andlauer. And the final 2 cars clear pit lane. It will be Robert Kubica in the 83, the yellow AF Corsa Ferrari, and it will be Mikkel Jensen in the 93 Peugeot.
So a little shot of the Statler and Waldorf of Penske Porsche Racing, which is Lawrence Vantor and just laughing. Lawrence Vantor and Andre Lotterer laughing at the near miss fuel. German word for it is Schadenfreude. Laughing at somebody else's misfortune. There is a lot of that going on there. I think they only laughed because there was no contact, but
they were laughing because it wasn't them.
It was, yes, exactly.
That's exactly it.
They are the Statler and Waldorf of Porsche Penske Racing.
On to the first of the flying laps. Remember, we've had a dramatic, for some of the wrong reasons as well as the right reasons, this afternoon so far. Catch up with all of the action you didn't see on the full access programme, as we've got Brendan Hartley still warming tyres.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, I joked about it, and we can laugh about it now with Brendan because it was ridiculous scenes last year with the lack of tyre warm-up in just 6 degrees ambient temperature, and of course no tyre warmers anymore in the World Endurance Championship. So it was an almost impossible task for all the drivers last year, but very different conditions this year. So that was, for those of you who didn't get my reference, that's what I was referring to. But yeah, still having to warm up the tyres on the second lap. So faster cars than LMGT3. You put more load through the tyres, therefore, so you have to have a harder construction than what you would have in the GT3 category. So they take longer to warm up. Once they are up to temperature, they're robust enough to withstand the strains of this circuit. All these high-speed corners like here in 12 and 13 before Stavolo, and so hence Brendan's still having to warm up the tyres now. But next lap round, I've got a feeling it's going to be the critical one.
And the front seem to be the tyre that everybody's having as much trouble with as the rears, that everybody's having front locking.
Let's listen to this. Oh, yes, he was flat.
That's the first time we've been on board with a Toyota flat through there. Now, don't forget, number 7 Toyota took pole last year ahead of the 2 Ferraris, and then went on. They won last time out as well, so yeah.
So crosses the line, obviously P1 at the moment. He is first on track as they run. His teammate Kobayashi second at the moment, a second away. So maybe a different tactic in terms of warming the tyres up, who knows? But I got a feeling it's all about this second lap coming up.
With 10 winners and 9 losers in this session. 10 will go through that 12-minute hyperpole session, but 9 will be pushed back into the garage where they do not want to be, in just 10 minutes before we find out who that's going to be.
Riding on board with Kevin Escher in the number 6 Penske Porsche. Here's Eau Rouge. I'll let to stay, see if he was flat out there. I'm pretty sure he was. You can see the compression and the telltale smoking of the car as it really rests that plank on the underside of the car. We're watching a nice slow-mo of the 99.
When you look from behind, it's like a shark's gills. Watch as the car turns away from you. Look behind the rear wheel. You don't see it. You can actually see through and see the floor under the nose of the car. That's where the airflow comes through to duct it away from the front of the car and help keep your frontal area as small as possible.
We saw on that previous lap from Brendan Hartley in that first sector still warming the tyres. What effect? Well, in the next lap, he's 2.7 seconds quicker in the first sector alone. So fully up to 10, but now we're going to see some quick laps.
Robin Freins, third fastest for BMW M Team WRT, and he seemed to be taking a very wide, far right, lengthening the straight line to start a lap, but that was actually the end of a fast lap. So out comes the Isotta. That's been back into the pit lane, just like Danny Kvyat in the Lamborghini did, and almost over the white line.
He was over the white line, so and unfortunately for him, that was in full view on camera. He'll get pinged for that, crossing the white line on pit exit. And we've seen it happen already. Was it the car 50 in FP3?
Got a 5-minute stop and hold. He did.
Well, you don't need a 5-minute stop and hold in the next session, because that'll be the race.
Brendan Hartley goes through with a representative time, and it's a good one. It's a 2:02.586 for the Tota driver.
Matt Campbell goes second quickest. Were all 4 wheels outside the white line on the exit of the bus stop? It looked very close. I don't think it was clean. We'll see.
Kevin Estra and Julien Andlauer produce an identical time for third and fourth. 2:02.947, 0.361 of a second off the provisional pole time. Identical times for both of them. And we've now got 5 cars within about 3.5 tenths.
2 Porsches with an exactly identical lap time, and the Porsche in front of them, Callum Eilert, 6 whole thousandths quicker. I mean, what?
I don't know if you mentioned already, but Phil Hansen has had a track limits lap deleted there for him, and he's still down there in the number 38. Joach, of course, down in, where are they at the moment? Oh, he's just popped up, actually. I've been looking at the times, he's popped up. Oh, he's 17.
He didn't look far down enough.
No.
We have 4 Porsches within 16 thousandths of a second of each other.
Yeah, that's but BOP, everybody, BOP.
Sorry, that 38 Jota, of course, is the car that had an epic off.
Didn't it just?
In Blanchimont, turn 17 in FP3. So they've done well to get the car back out there. Now we've got to see some speed from it.
Robin Freins second lap, look at that, 49 thousandths off, 22 thousandths off. That's very quick.
Third. Alpine second.
Yeah, what?
So Charles Milesi, second quickest at the moment. He's 0.312 off Brendan Hartley, who's not on a quick lap. Matt Campbell is improving here and is up on the provisional pole time at the moment.
Right, not pole time. getting through out of his.
Half of the top 10 are Porsches, but Ferrari have only got one car in because the 50 has just been bumped out. Oh, they've now got two because 83 Ferrari, the yellow AF Corsa car, has just jumped up to second. But the factory red Ferraris, only one is in at the moment, and that's 51.
And that's half a second, gentlemen.
Matt Campbell, that was a more legal lap.
Yeah, the 50 and 51, as it stands, they're 9th and 10th, so right on the bubble. But you can see on the screen below, Fuoco has done his personal best in the first sector.
You're not reading across the right line. They're not 9th and 10th. That was a minute ago. They're 10th and 11th, the two factory Ferraris.
Well, it just popped down as I was saying that. But yeah, Fuoco's going to put this right probably on this lap as we watch him on screen now. Through Blanchimont he goes.
Look how close Lloyd Duval is. 500s off from 15th. That'll be a top 5 lap.
The top 11 cars separated by under half a second.
Flyer from Antonio Fuoco. 11th place becomes fastest of all. Wow. The man is on fire, apparently.
And he was flashing. You see the lights flashing before the final corner. That was Mick Schumacher in front of him, who I don't believe is safe.
In the 36 Alpine, yeah.
Yeah, he's currently running P12.
So only one lap, and that was one of Phil Hansen for track limits. The two Peugeots, 14th and 15th. Oh, look at this. Now that's a car that looks like it's been driven aggressively by Loic Duval, but from 500s to a full second back, that's not a good sector 2.
And Vernet in car 11, the one that we saw run wide in the pits, is under investigation for the white line of pit exit. Cadillac
at risk. They qualified 4th last year, the number 2 car. Don't forget we had 2 caddies in the race last year, but Earl Bamber, Alex Lynn and Richard Westbrook last year, that car qualified 4th, currently in danger of not making Hyperpole.
And neither at the moment, it's Kamui Kobayashi. He's running in 17th place overall, but going quickly now.
Because he had a lap time deleted, and if you mentioned it already, so yeah, hence he's really got to put this one right with 4 minutes remaining. He's obviously got the speed to do it, but he's got traffic in his way.
It looked to me as if the back end of that car was breaking away as we shifted the shot there.
Definitely was. This is last year's pole-sitting car, don't forget. 81 thousandths back. This is exit, a piff-paff.
Spotted it well, Graham. Spotted it well.
Big handful of Oppo.
So still, Antonio Fuoco leads this session. Under 4 minutes to go. This is the session to set the 10 cars that go forward to Hyperpole.
This is what it looked like on board. Huge snap. He nearly lost that one, but yeah, he will get another lap with 3.5 minutes on the board, but he's got the cars in front of him.
And what tyres has he got left? Look, the number 8's pitted already.
Still only P15 for Kobayashi. And like you say, Martin, the tyres probably, hence that slide in 13, tyres are gone.
The gap to first to 10th is 0.519 of a second. The gap to 11th, 0.540. It's just over 200ths of a second is the difference between making Hyperpole and not.
Just briefly, before we talk about times, they're on the tyres that they're going to race on, and they've done 3 fast laps and the tyres are gone. They're going to have to double stint these things.
Yeah.
That's how conservative they're going to have to be in the race.
But for right now, they want to try and get through, and we see one of the Ferraris boxing, the BMW boxing as well, because James Collado isn't through as we stand right now, down in P11. Who would have thought that with the speed the Ferraris had all the way through this weekend so far?
Well, who's not in? Let's start from the bottom. Danny Kvyat's been struggling through this session in the Lamborghini. Then it's the Assetto Fraschini, Jean-Carl Vernet, Phil Hansen in the 38 Hertz Team Jota car, currently sits 17th. Then Loic Duval in the 94 Peugeot. The Toyota of Kamui Kobayashi still only 15th place. Then the other Peugeot. Alex Lynn in, at the moment, in 10th place in the Cadillac, but by the tiniest of margins.
No, but on target to make a little improvement as well. Phil Hansen, not sure that's enough of an improvement yet.
Well,
Lynn's tyres have gone away.
See in the second sector, that's the one.
Yellow flags are out, or white flags, a slow-moving 83 car. That's a very slow-moving car. He better have a problem.
The other 3, by the way, that are not in yet, the 51 Ferraris you mentioned, Martin, the 36 Alpine of Mick Schumacher and Dries van Tor in the 15 BMW. So some big names and some big teams not in Hyperpole.
Is this going to be enough for Alex? And he's 10th at the moment. and he stays P10 with that time. Did he improve the final sector at least? Because he didn't in the middle sector, no. So clearly it all falling away. Basically, the drivers that have suffered with the track limits violation, like Phil Hansen, who's at the bottom of the screen there on the times, and Kamui Kobayashi, and I'm sure there are many others as well, that's really put you on the back foot, probably put you out of this, of getting through the Hyperpole.
That really, really slow Ferrari, the yellow car, 83, which is fourth, has just come past us, absolutely flying, so doing another lap. And why? Because he's 0.41 off, 0.51, so it's 10th place, but
Gallardo's not going to make it.
Gallardo's not going to be close.
Backed out of that one. He was already 8.8 tenths away in that middle sector. He knows it.
I think he's going to pit this car, you know.
Well, he's still got 50 seconds remaining. He's going to come in. That's it. He's not going to get through.
He's not got the tyre underneath him.
Why was the 83 car going so pedestrianly slow, putting other cars at risk, and why is he now doing another lap? He's a 10th off being dropped. It requires every car outside the top 10 to beat his time.
Well, we heard Robert Kubica talking about track position before even getting out there, so maybe he was just trying to get that track position. And it's not such a dangerous thing that he was doing. His team would have been aware on the track map where others were. He was staying completely to the right-hand side of the track as well.
There are still cars out there that could move this bubble. There's a Porsche out there. There's an Alpine out there. Mick Schumacher quick at the moment. Phil Hansen hasn't given this one up either, but it's going to be a long haul, and I think you're right. Kobayashi's out there and looking quick enough to make it, but can they make these tyres stick?
Well, he still hasn't done a personal best in the first sector on this lap, although he's just a 10th and a half away.
And Mikkel Jensen, we were riding with, he's bailed. That's not a car that's been driven to within an inch of its life. And again, Kubica slowed right back down in the 83 Ferrari, but yeah, Kobayashi is definitely not given this one up.
He's got to be somewhere around 7 tenths away. No, he's 9.5 tenths away.
And that's with a personal best middle sector.
Exactly. So we know that Alex Lynn, what is he sitting at in 10th place, and he is he's 5 tenths away. So I doubt that Kobayashi is going to bring this back, but you never know.
He had to find 3/4 of a second on Alex Lynn to jump him. It's possible.
15th at the moment.
Did he have enough in the tyre?
Stays P15.
Mick Schumacher pushing, but the second sector for the Alpine was not enough, and he is in the pit lane.
So we've learned for the Hyperpole session that it is about the first 2 laps.
Absolutely.
And no track limits. As soon as you get a track limits violation, you might as well wave goodbye to pole position.
Car was difficult, mate. Didn't do a good lap, honestly, but the car was a lot different to this morning. I don't know why.
Okay, understood. Tomorrow is a long way to go. We have 6-hour race. We know what to do for the race, so let's keep the head high, and we'll see tomorrow. We'll do the job.
Yeah, and you know what? Only 5.5 tenths away from his teammate Antonio Fuoco on a big circuit as well. So on a normal sized track, you'd have to say that's like 4 tenths. And that puts him outside of the top 10, not going to have a chance of Hyperpole.
Well, who are those top 10? Well, it is going to be the number 50 Ferrari, qualified by Antonio Fuoco. Brendan Hartley topped the session, but finished it second in the number 8 Toyota. Then the Porsche Penske Motorsport number 5 car with Matt Campbell. Almost disaster on the warming up lap for both the cars from Porsche Penske Motorsport. AF Corsa's Privateer 83 car, the yellow Ferrari, posted the 4th quickest time. Alpine, their best qualifying so far, 5th place for Charles Malaysia. BMW also in there, another debutant this year, of course, from BMW M Team WRT. Robin Frines, 6th quickest, the number 20. And then the 12 from Hertz Team Jota, their 7th. The second factory Porsche, the number 6 car in the hands of Kevin Estre. It's Callan Eilert, by the way, in the Hertz Team Jota car. Julian Andlauer, another Hyperpole for Proton competition, and Julian Andlauer. And there will be, I'm sure, celebrations at Cadillac Racing getting that car, the number 2 car, into Hyperpole in the hands of Alex Lynn. So it is a mixed bag once again.
Yeah, the Caddy was in Hyperpole in Qatar, but only 12th in Imola. And it is, as you say, the second consecutive Hyperpole for the 99 Proton Porsche. They were 10th on the grid in the end in Imola, but 13th in Hyperpole in qualifying in Qatar, so it didn't make it through to Hyperpole. We've had 2 different pole sitters this season. Number 5 Porsche Penske car and the number 50 Ferrari. What about Alpine? Well, let's catch up with their new boy in Imola, who's back again, Jules Gounod.
Jules, your teammate Charles is making it to Hyperpole. Only 4/10 away from pole. It's so tight.
Yeah, incredible. To be honest, when you look at the live timing between P5 and P12, there's like 1/10, so it's incredible. It shows again the level of competitiveness of the championship, and it's just fantastic. Charles did a fantastic lap. Really happy for us to be first time on Hyperpole, and now we cross finger for a good Hyperpole.
Car is getting better?
Yeah. The car is getting better. The team is working super hard into developing new software and everything. So every time they go out on track, we have always something new and something improving. So really good job from the team. And now let's continue for a good Hyperpole.
Okay, good luck.
Thank you.
That means, by the way, just 2 teams have not so far made a Hyperpole session in 2024. The Soto Fraschini and the Lamborghini Iron Licks team are the only 2 that have not so far made a top 10 at least once.
Big leap forward for Alpine, the 35 car that Gounod shares with Charles Malaysia and Paul-Luc Chatin, 17th in Qatar and in Imola, and the 36 sister car was 14th in Qatar and 18th in Imola. So that car has yet to make it into Hyperpole, but as a manufacturer, as you rightly say, Alpine in Hyperpole for the first time.
It was a good lap from Charles Malaysia and to get through into Hyperpole, but for Mick Schumacher, yeah, half a second away. Oh, and that was a moment there through the exit of turn 7.
That'll ruin your sector 2, won't it? Yeah.
And there we go. I was thinking, yeah, why half a second? Yeah. That was probably that definitely didn't help.
Look how tight it is. 1200s at the top, but the real gaps are down at the bottom. The last 2 or 3 cars separated, well, again, you can see 8th and 9th separated by 0.000 of a second, never mind hundreds. And the Caddy, 0.519 ahead of the 51 Ferrari, 0.540. So 31 thousandths out is the 51 Ferrari.
31 thousandths.
Yeah, and only a 10th separating Brendan Hartley. Impressive performance there compared to the mighty lap of Antonio Fuoco. So, yeah, for as good as Fuoco's lap was, only a 10th away for Brendan Hartley. It's going to come down to this Hyperpole session to see who can get that lap.
Now we're looking at the Alpine Hypercar. You may have just seen released today the first images of Alpine's hydrogen-powered road hypercar program, which is a phenomenal looking thing, and if they ever produce anything that's that sexy, we all ought to doff our caps.
Well, if you're going to be trackside at the Le Mans 24 Hours, you will see the Alpenglow. It's a hydrogen combustion powered car rather than a fuel cell car. That car will be on track as part of a parade of hydrogen powered prototype and road cars as part of the warm-up celebrations or warm-up displays for the 24 Hours of Le Mans this year. Technology still being pushed forward in sports car racing, and it's great to see.
Just want to say hello to everybody who's watching in Berlin instead of concentrating on Formula E. Antonio Felix da Costa, Aurélie Donzelot, hello you guys. Right, 12 minutes to go in Hyperpole here. Don't forget, you'll be able to see the behind the scenes from Imola when we finish this session, if you go to the FIA WEC YouTube channel, look for full access, all access, and you will get everything you need to know from behind the scenes in the race weekend in Imola. And a similar program will be out in about 10 days to tell you all the bits and pieces and to show much more of Porsche Penske's Waldorf and Statler laughing at the travails of their teammates and a whole host of others. Sebastian Buemi getting very aerated and all the other regular stories.
To open pit line.
If you're trackside, time to hide behind the picnic basket. If you're at home, time to hide behind the sofa because it's going to get very fruity.
Hypercars not eligible for Hyperpole should be placed inside their garage on their tires under Parc Fermé regulations. Pit exit is at 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pit exit should be open. Hyperpole has started.
That should be followed by, sorry for that, commentators, with a random 10-second count that probably took about 7 seconds from Eduardo Freitas. But the hypercars have been released out on track. And just those last couple of shots, actually, We were here in the height of COVID, Graham. 2020, not a soul, tumbleweed. 2021, barely anybody allowed in because of distancing restrictions. So good to see so many fans packing this place and with such a great show to put on for them. The World Endurance Championship this is a platinum era of endurance racing. I don't think there's ever been the quality, the quantity, the variety in sports car racing that there is at the current time.
I can tell you, I think most people know I absolutely love this part of the sport. It is genuinely an emotional moment when you come and see this many people responding to the step up that endurance racing has made. I was interrupted just a moment ago with the Cadillac firing up and the windows rattled a bit. So that car now, a late addition to the session. Still waiting for the BMW number 20 and the 83, of course, a car to join the track at the moment.
BMW's just left the pit lane because we're at pit out. We can see that, or I can see pit out anyway.
Apparently, Robert Kubica in the 83 yellow Ferrari just going to do the one lap. I see it trundling down the pit lane now. So he was on the radio apparently saying, yeah, you know, we'll give it a go, just this one lap, out lap, push, back in. So that's how confident Kubica's feeling.
Well, we know that nobody's going to get more than 2 push laps, and maybe he just felt the tyre wasn't good enough for a second push lap on the car. That's...
I'll have it for tomorrow's race, thank you very much, rather than milk it too much in qualifying.
Don't think you have to use your Hyperpole tyre again.
You do have to use, well, you've so limited on tyre, you will see it again in the race. You might only see 2 of them because you get some jokers.
Then surely that's a disadvantage for anybody who gets into Hyperpole because they have to put more laps on the tyres than their rivals.
Incident involving cars 2 and 38, that is the Cadillac and the Jota car. That has to have been in qualifying because they've only just come through turn 19, alleged impeding.
We didn't see it, so yeah, I'm sure we'll have a replay if it's found, but yeah, that's an interesting one.
Well, turn 19 is the bus stop, isn't it? So,
yes. So there's nothing that 38 will gain from that, but potentially a lot that car 2 will lose.
Well, it depends who was impeding who.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, yeah.
There we go.
Allegedly.
And now on to, well, what is the first flying lap, but by dint to what we saw previously, this will likely not be their really quick lap.
Well, let's see. I mean, drivers have they've got the bit between the teeth now, and yeah, Brendan's really attacking Lecombe at the top of the hill there as you head down now towards turn 8, Brussels. Keep it tight as you can. Feel the grip from these tyres. And although you might sacrifice the first sector due to tyre warm-up, it will start to be coming your way in this sector here, sector 2, down towards Pouhon, tip the car in, down 2 gears, floor it mid-corner, through turn 11, unwind the steering angle, have the shortest run of attack before turn 12, feed the car in, keep the car to the right-hand side, to open up turn 13. Don't have a huge oversteer moment on the exit of this one. We saw how bad that was for Kobayashi earlier on. And wait for the understeer mid-corner of 14. So we pick up the Porsches now, exiting 13 into that corner you were just watching of the 99 car, of course.
The 99 car is absolutely flying here. It looked like he might have been off. He's quicker than Brendan Hartley.
There's no might about at all. You saw clearly the white line on the wrong side of the car. Never mind the car on the wrong side of the white line.
So last braking zone of the lap into the chicane. Wait for that change of direction from the cars where it feels pretty lazy at slow speed. They're heavy cars, these hypercars. Back on the throttle, crosses the line and continues on to another lap.
2:03.572 for Brendan Hartley. He scored with that lap. Where is Gilles? He's quicker. And at the moment, not scored with track limits. That's a 2:03.314.
Oh, but a lock up into the source. We mentioned at the top of the programme, didn't we, how critical that corner is in qualifying. And the drivers watching on there from car 6 crew, they know exactly how much that would cost him.
And it's a different strategy to this Hyperpole session from Porsche Penske Motorsport. They've not got the hammer down on this lap. Now they go.
You can see there, and here with Alex Lynn backing out of it in that final sector. So he's full focus on that second lap coming up.
Also very quick here, by the way, although he's lost time in the middle sector. Charles Malaysia was a quick first sector there.
Robin Fry's 20 BMW has lost his first flying lap. Cadillac orally pleasing.
Never get bored of that sound. And you could see him winding up there, couldn't you, quite clearly through 18. Took it extra tight and a wide line through 19. Is this why he backed out of that lap he was just on?
No, I think it's just a gorgeous bumpy replay.
Watch the Penske cars, they're both absolutely flying on this lap. Fastest first sector of the session goes to Matt Campbell, just a smidge slower is Kevin Estre, and they are up on the provisional pole time right now.
Yeah, Matt Campbell fastest overall in that first sector, and he's just about to come up to the end of the second sector. As you say, Graham, that 1.5 tenths up, or just over 1 tenth up. And you go through the second sector. Any time now, how's it going to be? And he's found another 1.5 there.
This is really good stuff from the pole sitter in Qatar.
But his fastest sector actually was stolen by Alex Lynn in the Cadillac.
Yeah, we've got Matt Campbell up on provisional pole time, Alex Lynn too, and also Antonio Fuoco and Robin Freins. This is going to be mighty close.
Really fighting the car there was Matt Campbell. Keeps it within the white lines as he heads towards the finish line. What's it going to be for him? First at the moment.
Bingo.
2:03.107 from Matt Campbell. Kevin Estre, what can he do about that 2:03.17? Not enough. He's 3.5 tenths off.
Wow, great lap by Campbell then, because Kevin Estre has no slouch around this circuit. So yeah, suddenly the Penske Porsches coming to the fore here, with Andlauer still in the other Porsche, of course, albeit a privately ran Porsche, the 99 Proton competition car. So Porsche 1, 2, 3.
Callum Eilert, yeah, going third fastest there ahead of the number 6 Porsche Penske. And the pole time last year, 2 minutes 0.812.
Fuoco goes to the top, and it's a much better, half a second to the good. Where is Alex Lynn behind? He goes third, so gets the Cadillac into third place, the second row of this grid.
Well, a good lap by Alex Lynn there, as we see on screen now, but what a lap once again from Antonio Fuoco. He was half a second clear. He still is half a second clear of the field, yeah, of Matt Campbell. We all thought that lap was great. So Fuoco's found a huge chunk of time. What can Robert Kubica do?
Don't think enough. It's a straight answer. I'm still watching Matt Campbell, by the way. Here comes Robert Kubica. He may have traffic here.
And don't forget, we heard on the radio, or we were told that the radio message was 1 lap only. And that is a gamble, because there will be other cars not on hot laps, and he's just found one.
He was a bit disturbed there by the other car. Not necessarily caught impeding, but it throws your mind when you're in the car. And yeah, he lost a lot of time there in the middle sector. It wasn't all because of that car, but yeah, I think like you picked up before, Graham, he was going to need to find something else.
Yeah, Matt Campbell is not going to better the lap time of Antonio Fuoco. Looking for what the second sector for Alex Lynn is going to be. It's been an attacking run, but has he got enough in the tyre in this lap to better it? He's up on the pole time in sector 1, but
He's up, so he's up on the pole time. It's the way these timing graphics work at the bottom of the screen there. So he hasn't gone purple. He's just up on the fastest time set by Fuoco in the first sector. So Lynn hasn't actually done even a personal best in the first sector. But currently, if you imagine like he's racing a ghost car of Fuoco, he was until he got to the second sector. He was still above. So I think Ferrari got a feeling that this might be job done.
Kubica, by the way, goes 9th with that lap, so above Robin Freins, who sits 10th.
What this does is to show how tight this field is, not only because we've got Ferrari, Porsche, Cadillac as the top 3 different brands, and 5 different brands in the top 10, but also because the car that is likely going to be on pole, the sister car, didn't make the top 10. That's how close this is. That's how even these cars are.
Storming run from Alex Lynn, but it's not good enough. He will stay third. It's a cracking display, though, from Cadillac here today. And what a mix-up we've got in the order here.
I was surprised to see Brendan Harley not further up. He's in the pits. I think that's his run that's come to an end down in P7. I thought he would be a little bit higher than that. He was pressuring the Ferrari all the way through, wasn't he, in the first round? of qualifying, but in Hyperpole, I don't know what happened, but the time hasn't been there. Nearly a whole second away, actually, from Fuoco.
Well, he did at least set a lap this time, which he didn't get to do last year. But Charles Milesi, not quite in the top half dozen, but outside of row 4 with the Alpine, as you said, Graham, their first time in Hyperpole. So Matt Campbell, another stellar performance, but not quite enough to hold off Antonio Fuoco.
I was wondering about what was going on there, because he chose to go through on what I thought was going to be a flying lap and then was going very slowly. Yeah. So there's a problem there for the Alpine.
And that is just at the bottom of the Kemmel Straight, so it's quite a long walk home from there.
Well, that's not going to affect anybody's potential pole-sitting run. Robin Fries is on a reasonably quick lap.
No, but I think we've all seen the best from the tyres. We've definitely seen the best from Antonio Fuoco. He's happy with that one.
Yeah, baby.
No, a great effort from him. And apparently, Brendan Hartley was complaining about too much movement, particularly at the rear of the car, apparently in that Toyota. So, yeah, there's something to think about for tomorrow's race. But for now, Fuoco, once again, mighty in qualifying. He did it in Imola. And it wasn't enough for the race, of course. A lot happened that day on race day, but yeah, once again, starts at the front.
Well, Fuoco second here last year, behind the number 7 Toyota that took pole. Number 7 didn't make it through into Hypercar. 50 was second, he's on pole. 51 was third, they didn't make it through. The Caddy was fourth, they're third. So there's all sorts of shifting tectonic plates in this championship with different circuits throwing different hypercars into the mix, as well as favouring or disadvantaging different GT cars. So there's Miguel Molina giving his teammate, again, another big hug.
It really is a class that absolutely points towards you've got to nail that one lap. It's one lap. And absolutely, Antonio Fuoco did that, half a second clear, and that's night and day. And as an indication of how night and day, the next two cars are separated by 8 thousandths of a second.
And worth pointing out, Julian Andlauer, 4th place for Proton. Proton didn't have a hypercar on the grid at Spa last year. They didn't roll out their hypercar till Monza, the race after Le Mans. So they're not even a year into that program, and they've out-qualified one of the Porsche Penske cars and both of the Team Jota Team Hertz cars. So that's a really impressive effort from Proton competition.
And let's not forget, both the Toyotas as well.
Yeah.
I mean, the dominant force of the first years of Hypercar, and in qualifying, humbled at the moment by, well, Julian Andlauer, Alex Lynn, Matt Campbell and Antonio Fuoco.
Robin Fries, unfortunately, losing his best laps with track limits, but Julian Andlauer in the Proton garage, I think he's going to be a very happy bunny. Bruce Schwanny is down with him. Let's hear from them now.
Julian, first time that we see you so high up there, and you're also the best privateer Porsche out there.
Yeah, I mean, amazing start of the week. Compared to Imola and Qatar, let's say we had a bit more potential and we could go through the world testing program. So for sure we could prepare the qualifying a little bit better. So the car is good. I think we have good data to prepare the race properly. And to be already in Hyperpole is great. And to be up in the top 5 is cool, to be so close to the Penske that has so much mileage here as well. So no, I mean, pretty happy overall. I think we still need to tune a little bit 2-3 things to be even more competitive. But let's say the base is good.
Okay, good luck for tomorrow.
Thank you. Can I need some?
Well, they ought to keep Harry Tinkle out of the garage more often then, is all I can say.
So Harry Tinkle with competition across the pond at Laguna Seca this weekend. There is the order, though, Martin Haven.
Well, and the other deal is, of course, haven't seen Roger Penske yet. This weekend, we were expecting to see him. We may yet see him tomorrow. Ferrari on pole from Porsche Penske Motorsport car number 5, Cadillac and the Proton Porsche row 2, another Porsche on row 3, Hertz Team Jotas number 12 car and the number 6 Porsche Penske car. The number 8 Toyota, the only Toyota in the top 10, starts 7th ahead of the Alpine, their best qualifying in the Hypercar era. The 83 yellow Ferrari makes it 2 Ferraris in the top 10 ahead of Robin Fries, who finally managed to get a lap that counted but it was only good enough for 10th fastest. All his quick laps, unfortunately, involved a little bit of excessive abuse of track limits, so lost his fastest lap because of that. Well, plenty for the fans to see still this afternoon. We've got Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux race. There's a 56-car Lamborghini Super Trofeo Europe race encountered to come as well this afternoon. So it's going to be a busy, busy weekend. They will be racing again tomorrow before we get into our World Endurance Championship 6 hours of Spa-Francorchamps, and that will be starting on air just before midday Central European summertime, which will be 10:25 Greenwich Mean Time, 11:25 if you're watching in Portugal, Ireland, or the United Kingdom. So wherever you are around the world, thank you for joining us for this session. We will still hear in a moment or two from Bruce Ioanni, and they will present the medals to the Hyperpole winners in both of our LMGT3 and Hypercar fields. There's Bruce hustling his way down, not on the left, but in the background. So plenty more still to see. But the race getting underway at 1 o'clock tomorrow, so 1 till 7 p.m. Forecast set fair. Hopefully tomorrow morning we won't wake up with snow on the ground. Has been done before, doesn't need to be repeated. And there's jubilation at Iron Dames, their first pole of the season. And again, Graham Goodwin, they should have won the season opener in the European Le Mans Series in Barcelona, and a stray wheel nut somehow got up inside the wheel and kiboshed that. They, again, were so close to winning the second round of the European Le Mans Series just a week ago in Paul Ricard, and they are just, it's not happening yet, but it's so close. They're too good not to win a race soon.
They are getting very well known for correctly not having a sense of humour about not winning. They're now used to winning. They've won in the European Le Mans Series. They've won it in the FIA World Endurance Championship in the last GTE race of history, and they want more of that feeling, and correctly so. Lots more to come, I'm sure, from the ladies in the pink Lamborghini. They've been super competitive all season, both in Europe and here in the World Endurance Championship. What can they produce on Sarah Bovey's home race? She's going to, I'm sure, be the one to take the car to the grid.
Yep, absolutely. Everybody will start their bronze drivers. It's the only logical way of skinning that particular cat. You can see the 3 Ferrari drivers being shuffled away there. The drivers of car number 50, Antonio Fuoco, who set the lap, Miguel Molina, and Nick Nielsen. And Bruce Ioanni going, no, guys, no. They can try. Bruce is trying to present and floor manage the whole ceremony here live on air. So,
Master of ceremonies.
Well, we're here to celebrate the Hyperpole with the first GT3 drivers. Which other girls? Come in. Well done. Hey, Sarah Bovey, come this way, please. Yes, thank you. Congratulations. And Raël Frey here. Well done, girls. Who wants to speak? The pole sitter, maybe? First? Okay, come to me. How did it go?
No, it was fantastic. The feeling was great in the car, and like all the public here, it was insane. When I did the hot lap and I saw all the crowd in the tribunes, I was like, we cannot disappoint. And thanks to the team, thanks for my teammates for the super job during the practice. The car was just perfect to drive, and it's a team job, and I'm super proud of the Iron Dames today. First pole of Lambo in WEC, super happy about it.
Okay, congratulations. Raël, a little word?
Yeah, we are very proud of her. She wanted to go for that home race pole position. She made it. She doesn't crack on the pressure, so we are proud of her.
Thank you.
Okay, well done. Congratulations. Please, could we have the medals now with Pierre Fillon, who's accompanied by Vicky. Hold on a minute. Come in. And medals that are presented by Rolex. Pierre Fillon putting the medal over Sarah Bovey, and you can applaud Sarah Bovey very loudly. Please, congratulations to the 3 girls for an amazing pole position. And now let's make some place for the pictures. And shortly after this, we're going to carry on the Hyperpole prize-giving ceremony. Well done. If you can go this way, thank you so much. We're going to carry on with the Hyperpole with the hypercar drivers. Please welcome Antonio Fuoco, the pole sitter, as well as his teammates, Miguel Molina. Oh, gonna call them. Come in. Miguel Molina, congratulations. Please come this way. Antonio, congrats.
Thank you.
A bit further this way, please. Thanks a lot. Antonio, another amazing lap. Congratulations. How did it go? And you seem like relaxed and everything, not even sweating.
Yeah, I think it was really good quali. I think today we made the difference on the preparation of the tires. Even if we look compared to the others, we have a different approach, which I think today works very, very well. And the car was really good. The feeling was really good. So we put a lap together. We start on the front row. We know that it's going to be a tough race tomorrow, but we try to do our best.
Okay, congratulations. Miguel, a little word about a nice pole position from your teammate.
Yeah, we are now, we know that Antonio is doing always the job in qualifying, so we are really happy. As he said, it's really important for us to start in the front. Tomorrow will be a long race. We will need to manage a lot the tires, and this will be the key of the race.
Well, now it's time to celebrate, so let's have the medals that are presented by our sponsor, Rolex. Again, if I can have Vicky and Pierre going around. Congratulations again on an amazing pole position by the Ferrari IF Corse car. And now time for the pictures. A big round of applause for the pole sitter and the winner of the Hyperpole in Hypercar. Thank you so much. Thanks again for following us. Be there tomorrow, 12:30 for the beginning of the race. We will do the grid walk. We'll show you all the beautiful hypercars. And then it's placed for a 6-hour race until 7 and the dawn. Thanks and goodbye.